everyone, and welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Friday, March 5th, 2021, and this is episode 173. I'm Carol. I am also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I am coming to you from my home in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, just a little ways east of Vancouver. Those of you who watch this podcast regularly know that I usually like to end my episodes with a little segment I call Something Good. And that is where I try and find something positive in my life, whether it be a food I've enjoyed, or it might be somebody's birthday, or I might have enjoyed the sound of the rain at night. Just a little something positive to focus on, especially during this past year when life has been really trying for all of us. Well, I am going to turn this episode a little bit on its head, and I'm going to talk about something good right off the top. And that is that after a bit of a COVID scare this week, I am happy to say that my husband Cameron is virus free. And it is such a relief. He took Monday off, just kind of extending his birthday weekend. And I guess in the morning he told me later that his stomach had felt kind of sore, but he thought he was just hungry and it felt better after he'd had his breakfast. But then I noticed at lunchtime that he didn't seem to have much of an appetite. And in fact, he didn't even finish his lunch, and that's just not like him. And I just said to him, well, just be mindful because, an upset stomach is often one of the early signs of COVID. So just keep an eye on things. And he said, well, actually, he had received word that morning that one of his coworkers had spent the weekend in bed with COVID-like symptoms and was going for a test later that day. And he had spent time with this coworker late last week, and had been in his office several times discussing things. And mind you, they were social distancing and wearing their masks. But we all know, especially in small spaces, those things aren't always 100% foolproof. So a little bit later that afternoon, he actually developed a fever. And so we went into full quarantine mode. We moved him downstairs where we have a couple of spare bedrooms and a bathroom and a big family room. And then I just cleaned upstairs here as best I could, wiped off every surface I could think of, gave everything a good vacuum, opened windows, turned on the fan in our bedroom to try and get anything out of there, Lysol spray, the whole 9 yards. I had just actually washed and changed the bed sheets that morning. So then the waiting game began. It was too late in the day for Cameron to go get a COVID test, but he did go the next morning. And his fever disappeared, but he was experiencing like sore throat and some sore ears, kind of achy and just not feeling well. But the next morning he received results that showed that he was negative. And while he was really happy, I was a little more skeptical just based on the timing, because as it turned out, his coworker and his family did end up testing positive. And I just felt like, I was reading up on it, and there's quite a high incidence of false negatives when you are tested early on in your illness. So I said, well, since you can't go back to work till you're symptom free anyway, why don't we just continue this arrangement out of an abundance of caution, and then see how things go. So he wasn't too ill at all. Like, in fact, he just kept on working from home, and but he still had this lingering sore throat and ears bothering him and such. So Thursday morning, yesterday morning, I guess that was, he decided to go get um, tested again. And the waiting game began again. And I'm really happy to say that the second test was also negative and he is feeling just fine. So he went back to work this morning. So it is quite a relief, especially because one of those days, I think it was Wednesday, I was feeling a little bit under the weather myself, but I often deal with kind of allergy and sinus things, and I had a sinus headache like right from when I woke up that morning uh, till I went to bed that night in various degrees, and but I also had not really slept well the night before, so I was tired too, and just when I woke up Thursday morning, I felt much better and feel fine now, thankfully too. So quite the scare and quite the relief. We're getting so close to when vaccines are going to be available to us, and I just thought, oh dear, we're going to. Can we just make it to the finish line? So yes, phew, dodged a bullet there, and so I think you'll understand. Under those circumstances, I wasn't feeling much like recording, but now I am happy to be sitting down here once again, and I'll show you what I've been working on for the last week and a half or so. Here we are. It is now the end of the week again, just when I was gonna try and get back into the rhythm of recording more midweek, but that's okay. Better late than never. Um, so more good news. I get to announce some prize winners. Um, just gotta find my notes here. Um, I would like to thank everybody who took part in the Making Time for Me Craftalong that ended on February 28th. And I have drawn 4 winners from the comments. I just plugged the numbers, I think 2 through 590 something, I think it was, into random number generator. That I was just blown away by that number. I'm so pleased that so many of you participated and chatted up a storm and made time for yourselves to indulge in the crafts that you love to do. So without further ado, I have 2 project bags and 2 patterns to give away. So project bag number 1, they both look like this, goes to post 363, who is Blue Carol from the United States. Now, I'm assuming that your first name is Carol. But that's all I know about you. So please send me a private message on Ravelry with your mailing information, and I will get your prize out to you. So congratulations, Blue Carol. Um, the second winner of a project bag is post 283, and that is Junie also. That is June from Newfoundland, Canada. So congratulations, June, and thanks for taking part in the CAL. Please send me your private information, or please send me a private message with your mailing information, and I will get this bag like this in the mail to you also. The third winner, the next 2 winners win a pattern that is giftable on Ravelry up to a value of $10 US. So the first winner is post 415, which is MMob23, also known as Margaret. And I know that Margaret, I've got to know her quite well over the last couple of years. She splits her time between Ireland and California, which is where she is right now. So congratulations, Margaret. Please drop me a private message on Ravelry. Let me know which pattern you would like. And I actually, when I drew the next number, Margaret's name came up again on a different post. But because the one and only rule really is that you can only win once, I then drew for another name. And amazingly, out of all these times, my post numbers never came up, which is Fantastic. So the fourth and final winner is post 532, which is Knits and Reads, which is also, or she is also known as Susan. She lives in Colorado, United States. So, Susan, please also drop me a private message. Let me know which pattern you have chosen, and I will gift that to you right away. So, yeah, once again, thank you to everyone who took part in this craft along. I'm going to not do an along for at least another couple of months, but I hope that you've enjoyed getting to know each other through this process, and we'll continue the conversation. There are a couple of threads in the Ravelry group that, as far as I'm concerned, you can chat about just about anything as long as it's, not controversial. Um, but that is the chatter thread and also the what are you making thread. I think that's what I call it. What are you making? Or show me what you're making, something like that. You'll see they are both sticky at the top of the posts, at the top of the board. So I hope that you will all continue the conversation and keep showing off the things that you are making. I love to see what everyone's doing, and I get a lot of inspiration from it. So, yeah, I hope we'll do that. And then maybe in a couple of months, I'll come up with an idea for another craft along. And feel free, if you have some ideas, to pass them along, and we'll see how it goes. All right, I have a couple of finished projects to share this week. I'm really excited about that. They are both socks. The first, which I don't know when I've enjoyed knitting a pair of socks more. It's been a while. Well, that's not true, because I really liked those feathers and tune socks too. In fact, I was slowing my progress in them to enjoy it longer. These I just didn't want to put down. I know it sounds a bit contradictory, but that's how it was. So these are what I'm calling my anniversary party socks, and that is because they are knit from Zauberball Crazy in the anniversary party colorway, and that is color 2389. So normally I'm very much about knitting identical socks. Unless the yarn is intentionally fraternal, then I don't mind. It's kind of funny that way. So as you can see, Zauberball Crazy doesn't follow any rhyme and reason. It's just a random combination of yarns that are marled together to make these colorways. So this was sock number 1, and I was really happy with the way that kind of just was concentrated with blue around the heel area. I did a yarn over short row heel there, and then this one didn't turn out too badly either. It was all kind of yellow, I guess pinky yellow here, but kind of yellow concentrated around that heel area. This is probably my favorite stripe right there, and I also really like the turquoise parts. Well, I just like them in general. I can't wait to start wearing them. So they are a 64 stitch top down sock with, as I said, a short row heel and rounded toe. 2mm needles, which is my go-to for knitting most fingering weight yarn. I did have someone ask a question about it, because she was remarking that she found the yarn sort of thinner than a lot of sock yarns, and it is. And I forget when I was done and weighed them, if I remember correctly, I know it's on my project page, I think it was 66 grams is all it took to knit this pair of socks. And they have I knit an 8-inch leg before I did the heel. But I think it is true. It is a lighter yarn, but it's fine. The 2mm needle's fine. I'm certainly not going any smaller than that. I do own a 1.75mm, and I think I've knit one pair of socks on that for my mother-in-law, who has really narrow feet. But I'm never going to go lower than a 2 for myself. And actually just found found them just fine. They fit really well. Um, yes, that's one pair of socks. And my second pair of socks are my Curling Mist socks by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And this is the first pair of socks from the Handmade Sock Society 4. To think about that for a minute. The original pair was inspired by a misty eucalyptus forest. And since I can't really relate to that, although I have been to Australia, but it wasn't misty at the time, and I live, in a rainforest, coastal rainforest, and we are more likely to see things like cedars and Douglas firs, but we often do see them in the mist. And so this blue spruce colorway from Zen Yarn Garden, the Serenity 20 base, just seemed like a really good choice. And I really like how you have the dark parts of the yarn and then those lighter parts kind of look like the mist in the trees. This is a really, really simple sock. This is the 64 stitch version, which I also knit on a 2mm needle. Even though this yarn is a little bit heavier, it's the Serenity 20 is, oh yeah, I do have the label here. I know it's a merino cashmere nylon. Yeah, 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. So it's really soft, has this just this really nice cush to it. Very simple pattern. It's just a 2x2 rib that is cabled every so many rows. You cable the 2 stitches in the rib together. It has, instead of a slip stitch heel flap, it's actually a ribbed heel flap, and then regular gusset, rounded toe. These fit really well. I can see them getting a lot of use. I was really sad this week. I have had a pair of socks. Also, they were knit out of Fleece Artist, or is it Handmaiden Casbah? I think Handmaiden is Casbah brand. I know Fleece Artist and Handmaiden are connected, so I always kind of forget which yarn is under which brand name. But it's under the Casbah anyway, and it's a similar blend. And I finally developed holes in my heels after years and years, and decided to give them a funeral this week. I noticed it. I thought, okay, I noticed the holes when I was putting them on. I thought I'm gonna wear them one more time. But I have loved wearing them, and they similarly are just a very plain sock, but they have a little bit of cabling on them. Like I said, I'll put the name of the project down here, or link to it. But I've worn them a lot, and they've lasted a lot of years. So I know some people are a bit hesitant to knit with MCN yarns because they don't think they'll stand up to wearing. Now, mind you, I don't wear sock feet. I almost always have something else on my feet, whether it be a pair of slippers or a pair of shoes. And I always figure, we put soles on our shoes for a reason. Why are we expecting yarn to hold up to all that wear and tear, pardon me, without protection? So certainly by wearing them inside shoes and slippers for years and years, they held up very well. And it was only that one area that finally developed a hole. The rest of the sock almost looked brand new, or socks, I should say. Before I move along to works in progress, when I was announcing the winners for the Making Time for Me Cal, I forgot to mention that I still haven't heard from last week's winner of these 9-inch circular needles. I had picked out the name May Jo from the YouTube comments. So May, if you're watching, go back and check out last week's episode with how to get in touch with me. And I'd really like to be able to pop these into the mail for you. Okay, works in progress. So last Sunday morning, I finished up my anniversary party socks, and I really wanted to cast on another pair of plain vanilla socks, but The ones I really wanted to cast on, I needed to delay for a day because I'm taking part in a make-along, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes, and it began March 1st. So because I enjoyed the Zauberball socks so much, I decided to cast on another pair of Zauberball yarn from my stash, which I got, I think, back in the fall. This time it is color 2311 Route 66. So I am calling these my Get Your Kicks socks. And I have managed to knit that much, but now I'm mostly going to be focusing on those other pair of socks that I told you about. So again, 2x2 rib, top down sock, 2mm needles. These are my Chaogu 32-inch 80-centimeter circulars. That's my preferred way to knit socks. So yeah, looking forward to knitting these up. They're kind of mostly purple, but you can see some kind of, like you can see here, that kind of berry red color. And it's always interesting to see what's inside the ball. I have my leftovers from my anniversary party socks sitting here, and it still looks all so nice and wound. Came just wound off so beautifully while I was knitting it. So you can see all those pretty colors that are showing. And because I still have quite a bit left of this, I thought maybe when I finish that I will knit these up with another yarn to stripe, either a solid in another color, or maybe even do something like 2 stripes of this, 2 stripes of that, or 2 rows of this, 2 rows of that, or 3 and 3, or whatever. I don't know. I thought they went together not too badly. Not sure. I also have a skein of blues that I haven't yet knit up, and maybe that would go better with this colorway. I don't know. I just really enjoyed knitting this so much. I don't want to just leave it for scraps, especially when there's still quite a bit left over. Probably about a third of a skein. Okay, so got those. So the socks that I was putting off casting on, I'm knitting for the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Nature Make-Along, and she's running a series of 4 make-alongs this year, all based on nature themes. So the first 2 months is flora. Then the next one is fauna. One has to do with water, and the other is with the sky. And as long as you can tie your project in, in a reasonable manner, then you can enter it. You don't have to use Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn, but if you do, you get extra, I think, an extra entry. And then if you use a certain amount each quarter, then you qualify for a skein of yarn. I don't know that I'll get to that point, but I do want to knit at least one skein of, or use Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn for at least one project each of the make-alongs. Because I have lots in my stash, and I just really like to support Lisa. So for my first pair of socks, I am using this self-striping colorway, and it is called Leaf Pile. Just looking for the label. Did I tuck it in here? Yes, I did. So there's her label, and this is on the bronzed sparkle base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5 bronze stellina, and it's a fingering weight yarn, 5 stripes. So there's the info. The bronze sparkle is quite subtle, but if you catch it in the right light, you can see it. So I am knitting these, just my usual 64 stitch top down sock, and then I'm using this skein of coordinating yarn in the warm honey colorway for the heels for sure. Haven't decided if I'm going to do toes out of it or not. And I've got this far so far. I've done on both socks, so why don't I just show you on the one. So you can see the 5 different colors, this kind of warm honey gold. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same or not. I guess not. But I also have another red skein of minis that I think matches one of these reds almost identically. So it's either going to be this color one, this color, or the red that I'll use for the heels. Anyway, I've got that color with this kind of a lighter or more of a tomatoey red, almost but not quite orangey. The green, the brown, and then this true red. So coming along nicely. Those will make for great knitting in front of the TV, or it's appy night tonight. We actually get to eat together tonight and have a glass of wine together tonight. You know, it's really weird when you live in the same house and you just talk on the phone and don't get to actually be together, even though you're literally just a floor apart. It's a very strange feeling. And then all the worry mixed into it. Anyway, I'm so looking forward to when Cameron gets home from work tonight and being able to just be together. So yeah, I'll be working on these tonight, drinking my glass of wine for sure. Okay, let's see what else is on here. By the way, I'll put a link to Fiber Nymph Dye Works Ravelry group, which is where the make-along's taking place, and also her shop site, or her website, because it's a little different than other make-alongs. You actually fill out a finished project form through her website and submit it. So for details about it, I guess I'll provide the links anyway. If any of you are interested in joining in, I know some of you are also fans and consumers of Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn. In which case, maybe you already know about it, but spread the word, right? Okay. I have been continuing to work on the 2 projects that I'm knitting for our son's wedding at the end of April. The first of those is my Love's Promise cardigan, which I'm knitting from Madeline Tosh Merino Light, and that is in the Dahlia colorway. And it is continuing to go well. It's been lots and lots of plain stockinette interspersed by the odd each side has a little column of lace stitches. So I'll just show you the back. It's easier. That color, at least what I can see on my screen, is really blown out. It's much deeper than that. And I have, let's see, my markers here on this side panel. There's the lace. Let's see if I put it. See if I can spread it out so you can see it better. I find it really hard to capture it in this light. Anyway, that runs up each side. So this is where I did my last, this is the row I did my last decrease on, and this is where I started my increases. So my waist, natural waist, sits kind of midway through there. So I have begun the increases for the waist shaping, and I'm just going to continue to try this on as I go, which I guess I can even do right now. Bring the needles around. Oh, yeah, I just don't want to take any stitches off the needles, and I forgot to put the point protectors on. So, looks like that. There's the lace pattern. So, yeah, coming along really nicely. It is an open front cardigan, and it is not meant to close. Plus this front is all rolled in, so it's not quite as small as it looks. here, and you can see from the back that it fits really well across the back. So definitely still continuing to be happy with that. Still have not made up my mind about sleeves, whether I'm going to make them long, full length, or sort of 3/4. I'm considering altering, trying to get this off, considering altering my dress sleeves to be a little bit shorter, but honestly, I'm not there yet. The last thing I want to do is ruin the dress in the process, so we'll see. We'll see. So much about life these days seems to be we'll see. A lot of uncertainty, I think, more than most of us have to face most of the time. Not that life is ever certain, but you know what I mean? There's always a degree of certainty about our lives, which seems to be missing a whole lot this year. Finally, I get to show you the wedding shawl. Oh, and I don't have a picture of it. I'll put it here or just over the whole screen. It's the Affinity Lace Shawl. Oh, better go back. Love's Promise is by Amanita. I don't think I said that. And I'll pop a picture here too of that. So the Affinity Lace Shawl is by Haley Sang Sather. And I am knitting it holding 2 strands of this Ornagi Filati Merino Oro lace weight together. It's color 20, which they call white, but it's actually more of an off-white, and it matches my daughter-in-law to-be's dress really, really well. Just happened to have it in my stash, which still just amazes me every time I see them together. So this shawl has tons of beads in it, and she chose to have pearl and crystal, silver lined crystal. So I'm going to see if I can catch. See, I can see it really well, catches the light, but when I try and show it to you, I don't think you can really see really well. Okay, there you can see it has beads here. And then it is full on pearl bead in here, up here. And it has this kind of wicker stitch, they call it, this lace stretch here. This is the center. Has this really cool Japanese stitch, almost looks like a rosebud. You can see there's beads there too. And then I've now reached a section. Oh, I'm so mad at myself. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Yesterday, I think. I had, yeah, because the day before, all I managed to knit on this was 2 rows the whole day. And it was bedtime by the time I actually got the end of the 2nd row knit. And then when I picked it up again yesterday, I continued on, and then I was about 4 rows in, and I realized that unlike this section where the little pattern is only in the very center of the shawl, this pattern was supposed to be repeated across the whole shawl. So I had to take it all back, start again. So again, don't know if you can see the beads in there. The pearl beads don't show up as well on camera as the others, and yet in real life they really do have a lovely sheen to them. So I'm hoping, you know, when she's wearing it, that the sunlight will catch them, no matter how hard I try. Maybe you can see the beads there. So now there's a whole lace section that comes, and then an edging after that. So I didn't bring in my samples. This just looks terrible before it's blocked, but all lace does. But from my samples, and I showed them to you last week, the yarn really does block out really nicely, and I think it will be just beautiful. I'm going to just do that with my elbow so you can see it stretched out. So yeah, that's how it looks so far. It's gonna be lovely. So that has got a good deal of attention this week and will continue to do so. All right, acquisitions. Got some mail this week, and actually both things arrived on the same day. So the first thing was I got it's dangerous being on, a mailing list, but you all know that. I got a newsletter from Sweet Georgia Yarns to say they were having their annual grab bag mystery grab bag sale, and so I'm a sucker for that. So I placed an order for. I was gonna have take two, and then I restrained myself and only bought one. And I was actually really happy with what I got this time. I should take them out of that bag. So first thing was this skein of Tough Love sock in the fern colorway, which is just gorgeous. I love this emerald green color. And I'm thinking that depending on how this Handmade Sock Society theme goes, this might end up being knit into a pair of socks from that collection. We'll see. We certainly have a lot of ferns around where I live. And then I also got this skein. It's a unique dye lot of a worsted, superwash worsted weight in a really nice shade of blue. So that might be a hat for me or someone else, but I love that color. So I was really satisfied. The last couple of years I have made a note and said, please no orange. Not that I don't like orange, but the 2 years before that I got a lot of orange, and still haven't used all of it up yet. So I was hoping they would send colors that were, more up my alley, and definitely I scored there. Another thing I did, I've had this sort of sitting in my cart for a long time and decided I better get it if I was going to get it, because one of these colorways is being discontinued. It was from this spring and summer collection last year. It's called Rosé Day, as in like the wine. And then I also got this Party of Five pack that also features colors from that same collection. Or I'm not sure if all of them are, but if not all, most of them are from that. And I didn't know if they would be hanging on to this colorway. You can see the lights reflecting. So I thought they just looked really nice together, like for a shawl, probably. And I also have a skein of this dried lavender color, a full skein, which I could use, but I also have another kind of a skein similar to this from that same collection that matches the lavender, so I don't know if I'll use it or not. But anyway, I thought these just looked so nice together, and as I say, they've been sitting in my cart for ages, so I finally bought them, because for sure I knew this one I wasn't going to be able to get again. So I was happy to get those. And then again, those newsletters will get you every time. Obviously this year, fiber festivals all over the place are being canceled again. So our knit social group, which I think Knit City originated in Vancouver a few years ago, and I believe all the organizers are, or at least were originally all based out of the Vancouver area. Anyway, they're holding once again a virtual Knit City, and I actually just got an email today to say their designers, or their instructors list was all released, and includes some big names like Kate Atherley, Melanie Berg, Bristol Ivy, Stephen West. So that's pretty cool. That is taking place April 9th to 11, and I think registrations have to be in Can't remember. I'm not really intending to take any classes, but I got suckered in by some merchandise. So they were advertising these different makers boxes. It's got, came with this sticker on it, and I chose the Winter Woods yarn sampler. So it was just yarn, where there were other kits that had, there was another one that had been sold out of a yarn sampling. And then there was also one that had different like items, not yarn. Can't remember if there's any yarn included, but it included other types of things. But the yarn really caught my eye, and it came like super fast. And it was so nice to open up the box, and then, pardon me, it was all in tissue and had this sticker closing it. So I will show you all the different yarns. Well, here, I'll show you like this first, just to give you the feel. Look at all those beautiful colors. And most of these I have not knit with these yarn dyers before, companies. So this one's from Colorista. It's BFL fingering in the Un après-midi à la cabane, or an afternoon at the sugar shack. So I had the good fortune back in grade 12. We did an exchange with some students from Quebec. They lived near Quebec City, and one of our things that we got to do is go to a cabane or a sugar shack, and they made the maple syrup and poured it on the snow, and we got to eat the candy, and then had like the dinner and the dance and all that. So I just love this one. I imagine you must, I know Vermont has is quite big for maple sugar too, so I'm wondering if you do the same thing there or not, but certainly it's a Quebec tradition. So that was really love that one. Flock Fiber Studio I have knit with before. This is their Take a Hike sock, which is a superwash merino in the Frozen Dawn colorway. This is from Dragon Strings. This, I'm not sure how to say it, Sleipnir, sport fingering in the Cloud City colorway. So as you can see, that's, yeah, 80 superwash merino, 20 nylon. So a little bit heavier. Beautiful pastel colors. This one is a singles yarn from Julien Yarns. This is Bella in the Winter Wonders or Merveille d'Hiver colorway. Also really pretty. This one I love. This is from Songbird Yarn and Fibers, and I have visited their website before. They do a whole bunch of different colorways based on different birds, and I've yet to order from them, but this is now making me really tempted. This is the Snow Bunting colorway. Good little speckles there. So this is also an 80-20 superwash merino nylon fingering weight. Love that. I keep looking at their website and looking at different birds that I know certain ones of my sisters and my daughter really like, and I'm tempted to get a skein of each one and knit them each pair of socks. But do I need to put that pressure on myself? Oh, that tea is cold. I guess it's not like I have to knit them all like this year or anything, but I'm really tempted, especially after seeing the yarn in person. This is Cabin Boy Knits Naturally Dyed DK. It's a Polworth superwash, and this is dyed with spruce, oak, and indigo. So there's the yarn. First of all, love those colors in there. I'm a sucker for like this blue and yellow together. So there's their label. Love that with the dog. And then, oops, that's upside down. There you go. So I'm not sure what this will be. Maybe a hat. Don't knit DK things very often, but I love this. And this skein of Koigu, which I was a little bit disappointed, I'll be honest with you. I love the colorway, not disappointed in that at all. But it's one skein of the KPPPM yarn. And I'm not sure what to do with 50 grams of fingering weight yarn all by itself. So I'm going to have to put it with something probably. And then I was looking today when I was doing my notes that actually the listing said that it was supposed to be a skein of KPM, which I'm not sure what weight that is. And it was a different amount of yardage. So I think they must have had to, either there's an error in the listing or they subbed in, I'm not sure. But it's still beautiful. I love Koigu yarn. And I will definitely find something to do with it. Actually, no, I won't look now. I was going to say there's something behind here that might complement it, but I won't pull that out right now. And then last but not least, from the Yarn Therapist is this set of superwash merino nylon fingering weight called Forest Fairy. And as you can see, it has this little matching skein. And I think that this is going to be perfect. Here's my segue into the next segment, which is called Up and Coming. Helen Stewart just released the second pattern in the Handmade Sock Society collection. And even though I was searching my stash last night and I even tried out a couple of different yarns, I keep coming back to this one. These are called the picnic blanket socks, and they have this kind of ruching here. Chatting with one of my knitter revelry friends, and she was wondering if they would stay up with that. I figured we should trust the designer. So it'll be interesting to see how they do knit up, and if they do, still stay up, not slouch, because you do have the majority of the sock is your regular amount of stitches and circumference. So it'll be interesting to see. Anyway, I just keep coming back to this, and I think that sort of would look like, a white blanket on the, flower covered meadow. And I could also use that for my Fiber Nymph Dye Works nature make-along project, because green grass and flowers are definitely foliage. So I think I am going to, after I kind of get this up and running, wind this up and give them a go. The only thing that I'm hesitating about is it depends on how it's dyed, because I feel like anything with this sock and the fact that you increase stitches to do this ruching, I guess that's that way, to do that ruching section, I worry about yarns pooling unattractively if they have too strong kind of micro striping going on. So it'll be interesting to see once this is wound up and just see how regular those colors are, or if they are somewhat random, because I think that'll work better. Anyway, really love it. I just think all of those yarns are so beautiful, and I thought it was quite a reasonable price for everything that you got. So happy with that. I do have some more yarn on the way, but we'll talk about that when it comes. I'm going to pause here, go warm up my tea, because my mouth needs a little moisture. And then I'll talk about what's been going on around here in the last week and a half besides the COVID scare. So I'll be right back. There, that's better. So I believe last episode I told you that we were having our new shed installed last Wednesday, which it was. The guy arrived bright and early, about 7:45 in the morning, and stayed most of the day. And he could not have picked a better day. It was sunny, just beautiful. I was even out there a few times in just like a t-shirt. It was just perfect weather because I think it started raining again that night. So he did everything except the gutters, which he contracts out, and they came this past Wednesday and installed those. So now it's complete. We do have to add one more coat of paint when the weather improves. We got him to put the first coat on, and then we're doing the second. So I'll pop a couple pictures in here so you can see it. So as you can see, we've got some window boxes added, and I still haven't decided if I'm going to plant flowers or herbs in there. The flowers would be prettier, but would be kind of neat. Whoops, bang the camera there. It would be kind of neat to have some fresh herbs for the summertime. You'll notice we left that big side wall blank. We did have the option to put a window in there, but that's the part that faces our house and faces the deck where we sit. And I thought rather than, be looking into a window, and at times it would be like, if with a shed's full of furniture and stuff, it's not really that attractive a view. But we're going to put some kind of wall art on that blank wall, and then it'll look nice all year round. Be nice to look at. So that's the plan. Now I'm just trying to find just the right thing to put on the end of it. We have a big, like a black metal hummingbird circular thing that's on our deck, and I'd like to find something of that nature, not a hummingbird necessarily, but something that big and kind of a silhouette of a bird or something like that. So it's just been looking online and just trying to find just the right thing to fill that space. So then on Saturday, one of Cameron's coworkers came and picked up the old shed, knowing what it had been through and knowing that it may not go back together the way it's intended. But he has nothing to lose. So we were happy to pass it along, and are really hopeful that he will be able to make use of it. And if not, well, at least we tried, right? I just hate just chucking things away if there's somebody out there who might want it. And so I'm glad that Cameron put the word out. So then Saturday it was also Cameron's birthday. Over the course of several days, we had people dropping off some birthday gifts for him. So he had a few things to open. And we'd already arranged just a regular video call with his two brothers and their wives. And we're trying to do it the last Saturday of every month. This time it happened to be on his birthday. So that was really nice. We had a nice visit with them. And then after that, we went out for supper. It's the first time we've been like inside a restaurant for a meal since probably his last birthday. We have sat outside at a few restaurants over the warmer months, but it's been since, probably we haven't even done that since I think last September. So it was a real treat to go out. We both got kind of dressed up. It felt nice to put on a dress and some high heels and makeup and go out to a new restaurant in town. It's a seafood restaurant, and we had just a delicious meal. We both ended up choosing two different kinds of seafood pasta, and it was just delicious. So we were talking about going back again for my birthday in a few weeks. But after this whole COVID thing, I think I'm going to put that off until we are vaccinated. Um, after we thought that Cameron might be sick, all I could think of is, oh, there we were Saturday night at a restaurant, and you do have your mask, even though they're socially distant and they have the screens and all that. The fact is you are maskless, for the most of the time you're in there. And all I could think of is I hope it didn't get passed on to someone unknowingly. Mind you, at that point, he would probably have been very early on and not necessarily contagious, but you don't know. So that was kind of took some of the joy away from the experience afterwards. But at the time, we just enjoyed it so much. Um, just looking at else. Oh yeah, and then so normally he doesn't really advertise that it's his birthday. He doesn't. He's likes to keep it low key. But I guess he did tell a couple of people that he was turning 60. And so this morning when he went back to work, of course he hadn't been in since last Friday. See, that's the flip side of it, is because he took the Monday off for his birthday, he wouldn't have, other than that one outing, he wouldn't have spread it to anyone. So silver linings. Something's good, right? Anyway, when he went back to work this morning, he sent me a picture, and some people had put streamers and a sign on his office door, and when he opened his office door, a bunch of balloons in there and stuff. So that was kind of cool. They had to wait a week for him to see it. We watched a lot of curling over the past couple of weeks, and we'll be coming up also. The first tournament was the Scotties, which is the Canadian Women's Championship, and the team we were pulling for won. When they win, the next year they get to be called Team Canada, and normally when you win the Scotties, you represent the worlds at the Women's Worlds Championships. Well, it was canceled sort of at the last minute last year, and then it was supposed to be held in Switzerland this year, and it has been canceled. So there is, I guess, a push to get it perhaps reinstated in Calgary, Alberta, which is where there are a whole series of curling events that are taking place over the next couple of months, starting with the Scotties. And it's all been set up like a bubble, so they all stay in a certain hotel, and there are very strict rules about coming and going and mask wearing and all that stuff. So that would be nice to see, because last year the same team won the Scotties and they didn't get to represent at the Worlds. This year they won the Scotties again, also are probably not going to be able to represent the Worlds. So it's a real disappointment. So it'd be really cool if they did manage to have it, the Women's Worlds reinstated, and that they would get to represent their country there, because that's part of the honor of winning that championship. So starting tonight is the Brier, which is the Canadian Men's Championships. That'll run for a couple weeks, or not a couple weeks, till next weekend, end of next weekend. And then they have mixed doubles, and then they have the Men's Worlds, and with any luck, then they'll have the Women's Worlds. So curling, when I was working on my curling mist socks, I mentioned last week that I thought I could work on these while I'm watching curling. So I did pretty well knit my whole second sock while watching curling. I've also been working on my Love's Promise cardigan, because that's a good one that I can knit while watching curling, because it's mostly just stockinette. So tending to get some work done on that again, probably during this week. So that's a good way to pass that time. Let me see. good news on the vaccine front here. BC has ramped up their vaccine schedule. They're going to vaccinate more people, but delay the second doses. So by delaying the second doses, they're able to vaccinate more people more quickly. So my mom should be done by the end of this month. Cameron, now that he's 60, is scheduled to be done before the end of April. I don't know with my asthma if I will qualify to get it done earlier than my age group, but even if I don't, I guess that would be in early May probably. So, and then Canada approved the Johnson & Johnson vaccine this week too. So lots of good news on the vaccine front. The end's in sight. We just got to hang on, and it's just feels particularly urgent now. I just want that vaccine so badly. And finally, it's starting to look a little more like spring around here. As I said last week, we had a really nice sunny day, and we've had a few of those. They had talked about there was potentially some more snow predicted, and then that didn't happen. And I finally took the covers off of my ceramic pots that I have in my garden in the front yard. Back in the fall, I had planted spring bulbs in them and then covered them with this insulative fabric. Looks a lot like heavy interfacing. And I knew that things had sprouted in there because I could just tell by putting my hands on the top that it was meeting resistance, and they were a little bit bowed out. So I finally took the tops off those. So I've got a bunch of I think just the one kind of bulbs so far. I planted two kinds of bulbs in both, or in all three, and so I can I think only one type of bulb has come through yet. But then also in the garden there are some crocuses blooming right now, and then a bunch of bulbs that I had planted in the fall, and some I didn't know if they were going to be any good because I let them sit for a while, and some of them were kind of sketchy looking, but it appears like at least most of them have sprouted. So now I'm really excited to see them grow and see what the flowers look like in the next month or so, I guess. So I guess I am ending on something good after all, kind of bookend the episode with good things. So on that happy note, I'm going to say goodbye for this week. It is now just after 4 o'clock, so I'm hoping I can get this edited and uploaded and such before Cameron gets home, and then we can really enjoy our appy night tonight and just be able to kind of put this week to an end. It has not been the greatest week we've ever had, as you can well imagine, but I guess all's well that ends well. I don't know, that sounds so cliche, but I'm glad I had a happy ending. Okay, well, I hope you are all well and that you're not going through this yourselves. Stay well and healthy. I hope if you are living in the Northern Hemisphere that spring is starting to make an appearance where you are. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, who knows, maybe you're looking forward to a little bit cooler temperatures and some fall weather. Hope you're well wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching. I have no idea when the next episode is going to be, so just keep an eye out for it. I always forget to say, if you like what you see, like the video and subscribe and put on notifications so that you don't miss upcoming episodes. So as always, I so appreciate all of you out there. Take care of yourselves. See you soon. Bye.